Whether people like it or not, my attitude has always been lead, follow, or get out of my way. So that is kind of why I am where I am at. If things aren't going the way they should for those who they are intended for, whether it is 4-H and my members were not getting enough attention or enough training or getting to do what they wanted to learn.
Hello, and welcome to Unoverwhelmed Emotional Fitness. My name is Elvia Diaz, and I am a proud mother and advocate and a coach for families of children with autism or neurodiversity. In this channel, we share reflections, tools, and real-life stories that bring hope, emotional strength, and faith on this neurodiversity journey. My goal is to help parents and caregivers feel less overwhelmed and more empowered as we walk this path together. Thank you for being here, and let's take a listen. Hello, everybody. Hello. Today, I'm very, very excited to share something that is part of my son's life. When we lived in Washington, there are often, as you know, limited options for activities that our children or young adults can do. And when we found out about Special Olympics, I was very, very thrilled. I was hesitant to go because I didn't think that my son would be able to do any sports. But as always, you never know until you try. We went to attended this invitation, and as I walked into that new community for us, we started bowling, and just the cheer and the parents and how all the team was so integrated and ready to help. And of course, that's where we met my dear friend, Debbie. And I'd like to show you today, I am wearing the Special Olympics. And where is it? Right here. See? Special Olympics. It holds a very, very important part of our lives. At the end of the video, we're going to show you some very, very interesting photos that we took during those experiences. But today, I like to show you what can be done when someone puts their head, their mind, their heart, and all their might. And Debbie is a very, very important piece of that. And as you watch the interview, you're going to get to see someone who just is so enthusiastic that is contagious. And she has given her mind, her heart, and her time, and all her enthusiasm in helping these wonderful athletes. And well, for us, the most important experience that we have is, I can show you, for any parent, it could be just another sport, but just looking at someone, how they can have the patience with your son as he was trying, for example, athletics, and my son would go into one lane, and then you have to keep on one. Sometimes just being able to have those 100 meters and stay on one lane and not intrude into the other is a big achievement. There's many, many achievements that can be not measured, but of course they are very felt. As part of this wonderful experience, I'd like to introduce you, Debbie, and I'm going to read it because it's very, very, very dear to my heart, and I don't want to mess it up. Debbie is a mother, she's a leader, and a force of nature into the Special Olympics in Washington community. While navigating the complexities of raising a son with autism, she has inspired families, expanded teams, grown volunteer networks, and brings hope everywhere she goes. Her story is one of resilience, passion, and heart. And I can tell you that for my son, being part of a Special Olympics was an opportunity for him to be challenged, for him to learn patience and learn that other people could be patient with him. He was loved, was accepted, and of course, there were challenges with many of the athletes, as human relations are. But most important, we got lots of cheers. Debbie, thank you so much. And so let me share the story with you. Well, hello, Debbie. I'm so excited. Everybody, we are very, very pleased to have one of my very, very favorite persons. We have Debbie here from Special Olympics. I am not going to dare try to pronounce her last name because I may mispronounce it. But she is one of a motor that has helped us with the Special Olympics when I was in Washington. Debbie, here in publicly, I would like to officially, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the important difference in how you impacted my life and Rafael's life, giving him the sense of security, the sense of purpose, that he was able to do things that he would never otherwise have dreamed of. And at the end, we're going to be sending pictures, showing pictures, so stay at the end. So Debbie, thank you for accepting this interview, and thank you for being here today. Could you please introduce yourself so that people know you? And say your last name because I can't.
I will, absolutely. Alvia, I want to say, first of all, thank you. I am humbled to be asked to be on your channel. It's very exciting, a little overwhelming, but I am Debbie Niehenke. All of my Special Olympics circle knows me as Deb, because it's much easier for many of my athletes to say that. But yes, the last name has more vowels than consonants, so it does confuse people. So Coach Deb is probably one of the most purposeful roles I've ever had in my life, but first is mom. So I am the mom of 3 adult sons, the youngest of whom has autism. And even though he is 27 years old, he's a 5-year-old. So I have a toddler for life. And he is my purpose for Special Olympics, but he's also my biggest challenge and my greatest love. So, and I'll tell you a little bit about my other 2 also, because they are,
Please.
They're definitely the driving force that keeps me going. So.
Definitely. Everybody has a little. I'm a mother of 3 myself, and each of them is a challenge in their own growing pains, as we all call it. But of course, because of the biggest challenge that is for the whole family, we are going to focus on Rich. So please, thank you for that introduction. And of course, Deb has also a professional life. She's a juggler. She does everywhere, and everywhere she goes, she's just shining light everywhere she goes. I remember one particular moment that, of course, you tried to put a smile, because you must, and a smile is part of what we wear. But inside, sometimes you don't feel like that. And I remember one day you were coaching, and Rich was there. And as you were speaking, Rich was rubbing your head, as he usually does, because he's so big and you're so short and compared to him. And you were speaking and he was rubbing you, and you were there, and just being that, and the way he was looking at you, the way you were looking at him. And I just said, if she can do it, so can I. And we sometimes we don't know, just by our actions, who's watching. They say, don't worry, people don't listen, because they're always watching you. So I thank you for that, Deb. I thank you for that, because even without knowing, you are teaching resilience and fortitude, which is why we're here today. So really, really thank you. So let me start with the first question. I have questions, because otherwise we're going to be moving along and we could just be chatting, but I know that people want to get to know Deb here. So tell me, how did your journey as a mom for your son with autism, Richie, and eventually led you to the world of Special Olympics in Washington?
my world, my life has had many chapters. I'm going to call them that. Because, so Rich is my youngest, as I said. Next oldest is Phil. And so Rich is 27, Phil is 28. And Nick, who is my oldest, just turned 30 last Monday. So they are very close in age, obviously. I have to give kudos to, first of all, it's God. And a little bit more on that soon. But also my husband, Pat. And Elvia, anyone who I have ever counseled, mentored, whatever word you want to use, who is a single parent, who is trying to juggle this world, is deserving of a medal every day of your life. I appreciate you, and I celebrate what a single parent does. I've been involved in many circles, and all of them have to do with my children, who are no longer children. But from the time that I became a mom and got blessed to have a son who looks like my dad and is type A personality, high strung, and never sleeps like me, that wasn't enough of a challenge. So then we're going to have Phil come along, and he is his father to a T. He's laid back. He's easygoing. Not much ever ruffles his feathers. And well, God decided that wasn't enough, because I wasn't going to learn enough patience until I was given the ultimate challenge of Rich. So my circles have always followed the three of them. Oh, we need someone to go help at school. So Debbie's going to go in and she's going to do a craft project maybe with the kids. Now, we live in a very small community. It's not always been the way I've grown up, but we live in a community of less than 300 people. So you have first and second grade in the same room. You have third and fourth grade in the same room. So every other year, Nick and Phil were together. So, Dad's got to come help, because we're going to build a birdhouse. We're not going to make just something small. We're going to bring in hammer and nails. So our chapters have changed as we go along. When that was no longer necessary, we need a new 4-H leader. Okay, we need to have new activities in 4-H. So, okay, Mom's going to go learn how to be a state certified shooting sports leader. Mom's going to learn how to become whatever we needed. We did it. There's a need for a teen 4-H club and to do a huge 500 youth conference at Washington State University. Sure, let's do this. Let's make it up as we go along. And that has propelled me to where I am today. So as Nick and Phil grew and advanced and went through all of their activities, yes, Rich was always involved, maybe to a smaller degree and for a lot shorter time frame, or 5 minutes, I'm done. But here we are with Special Olympics, and we finally found something that Rich could do that showed his independence. Now, Rich is, as Elvia said, towers above every one of us in the family. He can hide my husband and I at the same time with his stature. And he doesn't like loud noises, and he doesn't like crowds. So what's the first thing we go to join? Bowling. And he loved it. He excels at bowling. We actually have a family tradition. We go bowling on New Year's Day. And for the most part, he always beats every one of us. So it has just become something that he enjoyed. And so when I was first there, Elvia, I was hovering. I was afraid. I expected the worst. I figured that Rich would have a meltdown and no one there could handle it. No one there they would have a bad feeling about Rich. They would never let us come back. So I hovered. And I hovered for many activities, whether it was everything we tried to find to get Rich involved in something, or it was Special Olympics. I was there. And so to tell you how I got to where I am today, I really don't know. Here I am. It just morphed. And as things changed, as the atmosphere of we were originally Special Olympics in Whitman County was originally paired with the YMCA. It is a very difficult thing to have two huge national brands, as we need to call it, because they are separate nonprofits. Very difficult to have two of them operate together. You have different rules. You have, how do you make a shirt? For a team, you have to have two logos, and it's almost insurmountable. And so just before COVID, the decision was made that the YMCA would release our team, and our now head coach, Emma, and I said, okay, well, we will lead this charge and we will take this directly under Special Olympics. And here we are today. Of course, COVID threw some challenges at us, but we're coming back as a team, and we're surging and increasing numbers and great things. So
wonderful. So
that's how I got here.
Just a little bit of it, right? This is a short, very fast forward version. Okay, but let's see. Looking back, for example, was there a defining moment, say, like, one of those turning points that shaped the way you advocate and lead today?
There are a lot of moments, but they all focus around the same thing. And as you said, you never know who's watching, and you never know when someone is going to do the right thing or say the right thing. All it takes is a smile. And while Rich he was never, never had a whole lot of outbursts when he was young, when we were going places, but you could just tell that things were different. He would be pointing at things. He wouldn't be focused on what was going, whether it was shopping or, out at an activity. But people would look at him different because he was either carrying a blanket, or he did tend to chew on something, to this day, as 27 years old, he carries around a string that looks like a shoestring. But just the way people would look at us as a family, or he and I together, and the feeling of, that's different. I don't know if I can handle that. And then it would take one person to smile at you and say, what you're doing is okay, whether it's right or wrong in public, whether it is, no, there was never anything bad, but it was just that smile that you would get from another person, typically someone who was older than me, whether they were a mom or a grandma, and say, you got this.
You know what you said? I just heard a phrase the other day that I think describes that moment, and something that I felt is that sometimes we just try to fit in, and when we're walking, we just know that we don't fit in. So we find out that it's okay to fit out, and we find our own little tribe that it's going to fit out, but it's okay. It's okay, because we don't have to fit in everywhere, right?
That is correct. We don't have to fit the mold, and it's so much more fun to enjoy life than to worry about fitting that mold.
Right. Yes, it's never easy. It's never easy. But let's see. So you worn so many hats, Deb. You worn so many hats as a mom, as a professional, as a leader, as an amazing organizer. So what inspired you to step beyond just being that parent and just go sideways, and now just take the lead on Special Olympics? So you mentioned that you thought that it was okay, so it would be an activity that Richie would enjoy and all that, but then all of a sudden, you just not participated. You decided to take the lead on it. How? Because I'm sure that your hands were full already.
We've always had a very full life, but whether people like it or not, my attitude has always been lead, follow, or get out of my way. So that is kind of why I am where I am at. If things aren't going the way they should for those who they are intended for, whether it is 4-H and my members were not getting enough attention or enough training or getting to do what they wanted to learn, and that is all about hands-on learning. Whether it was, okay, well, no one's teaching religious ed in my community, so I'm going to step up and talk to the priest, and okay, we have a program. So I've done that. I've had people that have recruited me to, I worked with several different organizations, including one that I do right now as a parent advocate. And it's probably because I just talk too much. I think that's why. But
you talk, but it's not that you have to say that. You talk exactly what needs to be said, never too much. I can vouch for that. Never too much, because
thank you.
Your voice is projected, so just right.
Well, I feel people really need to be able to share what they want to share. And I may not have the same opinion, but I will defend their right to do that. And if there's not enough happening for whatever our audience is, I guess I've always felt like that is the role I need to follow. So our athletes, when Rich started with Special Olympics, we had bowling, we had basketball, but it was limited to skills. We didn't have basketball teams. And then we had a limited amount of track and field. That was it. 3 sports for the whole year, which is fine. But couldn't we have a basketball team, Coach Deb? What do you think? And I think one of the moments when I finally realized that I had to take the lead was when one of our athletes, whom you will know, you might guess who it is when I tell you, he came to me and he says, I want to know what's wrong with us.
Oh.
Nothing's wrong with you. Why? Well, the coaches don't like us because they keep leaving. You're the only one who stays and keeps helping us. Can't you be our coach? I guess I have to be a coach. Yes, I will step up and be a coach. And that's kind of how the whole thing changed. And, he's the kind of athlete that makes you feel good. Did you see? I just got a strike and I did it for you. Did you see that? I've got a score of 40. Okay, that may be for a whole 10 frames and everyone around him has 80, but he's got a 40. And that's why I do what I do, because it's about them getting to do more. And we've now added basketball teams. We've added cheerleading. We've added bocce. We've added sports. And with that comes more athletes who are excited to do what they can, even if it's not the same as what their peers in school are doing. They're still out there doing their thing and enjoying what they do.
Just to give the audience a little bit of the challenges. I mean, obviously, because you mentioned it's athletes, it's basketball, it's skills. But for instance, following instructions is a big challenge for many of our children.
Oh, yes.
So when Rafael was doing athletics, he just had to go, just start here, go over there, run as fast as you can.
Yep.
Simple enough, right? But why can I go, if it's easier, I like the other track better than this one. Why do I have to keep on this track? So he kept on invading other tracks because he just liked those, just following directions, just being able, kudos to Cody, because he was always so very patient, and he always knew what to say and how to say it, especially the how to say it. And he just being able for him to run 100 meters, but not that he was able to run, he was able to stay in one track and just run as fast as he can. That was the biggest challenge. So, I mean, obviously only us parents with those challenges can understand and really appreciate the effort that you do, because we cheer we don't cheer whether he came in first or not. We cheer like, yay, he followed directions, he was able to do it, and he got there. So yes, thank you, Debbie. So on that note, building volunteer teams isn't easy. Isn't easy because, just what you mentioned. So how have you managed to attract, retain, and motivate your volunteers on this special, with all these seasons? What's your secret sauce? Tell us.
I don't know if there's a secret, but you don't retain volunteers. You build a volunteer force that builds itself. I don't recruit volunteers. I invite volunteers. My athletes do the recruiting. When I meet someone, and I do have something that I need to show you, and hopefully your followers closer to the end of our interview. But I always have Special Olympics, not only in front of me, but I wear the brand. Let's say that, okay? And it usually strikes up conversations. And that's what I tell people. You got a few minutes? Oh, well, I can't be a coach. You don't have to be a coach. You can be the person who helps Raphael or Rich get down that lane or stay in this little corridor, or, okay, we have to go from here to there, and that's how we're going to do it. You can be that person who either literally holds their hand and takes them there or guides them to that. You can't have a team without having the hand holders. You can't have a team, whether it is coaches or our chaperones who get someone from point A to point B. You can't have that team without letting them be themselves. So I invite people to come see a practice. Pretty sure my athletes will have you hooked within 15 minutes. And that's how it works. And then that person realizes that there is no pressure to be, oh, yeah, I want you to show up and I want you to be able to do a 5 versus 5 court, or a full court press basketball team. And I expect you to do this and this and this. Or cheerleading. We're going to create a cheer and we're going to do it. No, I don't. That's not how you start people. But when someone gets to come in and learn how to relax, learn how to be around others and feel calm and relaxed, those of us that, live it daily, okay, we're beyond blessed. But those volunteers who come in go, wow, this is so cool. And I don't have to be perfect because no one expects me to be perfect. And we all learn together. That's how I retain the people who stay with us, is trying to, we're all a big family. As you know, currently our youngest athlete is 12 and our oldest athlete is 73.
Yes.
And we do everything together.
Right.
All at the same time. Yes, we have different squads, we'll call them, because we have those who have higher skill levels and they can play together. But that doesn't mean they're not cheering on the group that's right next to them that may make fewer baskets or run a little bit slower, or, so do the mini javelin a little bit shorter when they do throw that. But we're all together, and our coaches are the same way.
Yes, what a big difference in inviting rather than recruiting. That is such an important shift. Because, for us, I think that for me, when I'm able and I have the blessing of being able to help another person, I'm the one who's being helped. Because
absolutely,
I can see them and I can get their I get my dopamine from them, because they share their stories sometimes and whatever, as I coach families. But the most important thing is that when you're able, the only time that you should bend down is to help someone else come up and be with you. And I think that's exactly what you do. That'd be so nice. Thank you. So what about you always are also fundraising, and that's difficult too because I always say like, okay, so you have to build furnitures, but you gotta go get the wood yourself. So that's another effort. How do you juggle that too?
Fundraising started. Oh, that was another one of those hats I wore a few years back. Wow. My fundraising efforts all started, or I guess my methods is a better way of putting it, when I ran the Colton Uniontown Fair. So yes, I had that hat when Nick and Phil and Rich did show also, by the way. Okay, didn't show animals, but he had things in the fair. We had a professional mannerism, and it was empowering for, at that time, this is high school students who were going out, and they were drumming up money for us to host a fair. And I learned very quickly that by letting the person who's in the forefront, so whether it was my high school students I was working with, or whether it's now with the athletes, when they have that excitement that they are bringing something in, because whether they're wanting pizza for a pizza party or whether they want to travel because they're going to earn that medal and they're going to get to go somewhere, they're the ones, they sell themselves. They really do. They need to understand the why. They need to understand the what for. Okay. And they need to understand that it is not just benefiting, they're not putting money in their own pocket. They're the recruiters. They're the ones who are going out and saying, hey, I love Special Olympics. This is why I do, this is why I get to be on this team. I get to do something. But, it costs money for us to get in a bus. It costs money for us to go bowling. It costs money for us to rent a gym to do things in. So would you help my team? And that's the biggest thing. I have no problem asking people for money because it's not going in my pocket. It is going to help athletes. If it's a different circle that it's not about me. It's about them. And as soon as they get excited about the fact that, okay, yes, we do have incentives. I know that. But when they know that they are trying to help out so that they and their team get to go do something together, it's easy. It's very easy.
When you say I have no problem asking for money, I remember a very dear friend of mine, a priest. One person said, like, why do you need money? I mean, the water is free. The God gives us the rain. So yes, God gives us the rain. God gives us the water. But the pipes to take the water where it needs to go cost money. So we need to pay for the pipes so the water goes to whatever needs to be done. So
we have to have those gutters to catch it so that we can direct it where it needs to go.
Okay, so Deb, when we receive the diagnosis, it's always an acceptance. I mean, the thing with our children is that, people they say accept, but accepting is never really the word, because, you accept that you don't have a child that is going to fit in. Maybe he needs to fit out. And then you accept that you have a teenager that is not going to be in the norm. And then an adult who is a person with, like you said, is a body of an adult with a soul and a mind of a child. So yes. This is always the challenge, that it's one day at a time, and it's the most overwhelming part, that we have to learn to take one day at a time, and families are overwhelmed. So if you could share, Debbie, with us, with your resilience and fortitude, what are some of the hardest challenges you have faced early on? And please tell us, how did you find your way through them? Please share.
My dad always used the phrase one day at a time. And as I referred to, God was going to teach me patience, so he gave me Rich. But God gave me the greatest blessing. And when I finally realized that, And a pivotal moment, I can't pinpoint it. Yeah, the toddler years were interesting. Rich is the kind of individual that nothing kept his attention. No toy. Didn't matter how much we spent. It didn't matter what we found. Nick and Phil like to play Legos. Rich, no way. Nick and Phil like to do something else. Rich, no way. He would be captivated by music for maybe 30 seconds. No other human being could catch his attention, and he wasn't drawn to anyone until I think there was times when Nick and Phil would say, well, we can go do something, Mom and Rich will follow. It was always Mom and Rich, Mom and Rich, Mom and Rich. When I finally realized that was my calling. Rich is always going to be my calling. Even though he now lives in an independent apartment with 24/7 care, everyone deserves to be independent and get to do what they want to do, yet he comes home every weekend, and that's the Mom and Rich time. And the challenges, I'll try not to make myself cry. The challenges were so deep during the teenage years. They were ugly. They were profound. And both Nick and Phil got to witness those as they were young adults going on to college. There was a moment when we actually it was our last family vacation. And we were in Yellowstone. We were on a bus with all of these other people watching us that had no idea who we were. Some of them from many other cultures, thinking, why is this mom holding this now, 200-pound adult in a bus seat, trying to hold him from what looked like he was going to attack? And he was. He was having a meltdown, and I was trying to hold him in the seat. And Nick came up behind me and he said, Mom, I don't know what to do. I said, you better go get Dad, because if I lose my grip, someone's going to get injured. And those are those moments when you say fitting in, we don't fit in. They always talk about, the United States of America is a melting pot. No, we're not. We're a salad bowl. Those of us who have someone with, whether it's an intellectual disability or a physical disability, or someone who's just plain different, we don't melt. We always seem to have we're the tomatoes on top when people are trying to add the salad dressing, and it just looks like it's going to all fly out of the bowl. And that's okay. When I finally realized that it was okay to have this individual, when it was Mom and Rich, together somewhere, and it may not be perfect, but it's what we're making the best of it. And when you get to the point where you can say, I'm okay, and I'm going to make this work no matter what this is, that's when you can get by. Did I say that that it was going to be great? No, I just said we're going to get by. One day at a time becomes 1 minute at a time. And then when you understand that, Elvia, you and I are blessed with someone who has the most unconditional love and devotion and dedication to us, every other parent on the planet is missing out. And we got chosen somehow, and we make the best of it. And that's what we have to do. And my other two young men have grown into fine adults, and they can look back at the things that they went through as toddlers through teenagers through now adult and say, yep, that's my brother. And it's okay, because what you do together means the world, and it all comes together for you. You just have to have faith and you have to have heart, and you have to believe in your heart, and you have to believe in your head that what you are doing, and I will tell this to people that I do counsel those that are just starting on this road, and wrong or right, you are doing what is best for you and your family, and God knows that's okay. And if it doesn't work, that means you have to learn that lesson and you try a little bit different the next time. The challenges are always there, every day. And as soon as you think you have it figured out, something will change. Either the system or the person that you helped is going to say, nope, I figured it out. I'm not going to make that work next time.
Right. I mean, sometimes you learn what to do, and sometimes you learn what not to do, but it's part of
Yes,
the journey.
it's still a lesson. It's
Right.
still a lesson.
I mean, I can give advice of people, how to do it, and too many times I have to say, this is what not to do.
Yes.
That's just great. Thank you, David. Thank you for sharing that part, because I think it's the power of being vulnerable that humbles us, and it makes us, the people who are listening, when they see it, that is not, I mean, yes, we give this smile, yes, because it is, I mean, we have accepted the challenge, because, why fight it? It is a challenge, but at the same time, it doesn't make us not hurt. It is still difficult when we know that sometimes we have to apologize because we don't fit in, and thank people for their patience and
Yes.
and all that, but because it's not other people's fault either. It's they don't know what they don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So I think that just by being vulnerable, Debbie, thank you so much. Thank you. And Debbie, I mean, you have to juggle work, you have to juggle family, you have to juggle the advocacy, and yet you really radiate this wonderful joy wherever you go. I mean, you're one of those people that you want to see a light shining. Well, watch that, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So, how do you take that your emotional well-being, especially during times when your own health hasn't been 100%? I mean, you just underwent a surgery. You just finished a very important part of your professional life, and here you are, smiling and all together.
I have a plaque on the wall in my bedroom, and I will look at it every day. God only gives us as much as He knows we can handle. Some days I just wish He didn't trust me so much. Thank you, Mother Teresa. I try to remind myself. There are days when I get to the end of the day, I will be honest, that I might sit down, when you've done all the chores and you finish the dishes and you feel like, okay, I can sit down now. It might be 11:30 at night, but I can sit down for that 5 minutes and say, did I accomplish something today? I'm a list person. I like to write lists. And sometimes I will actually add something to the list because I did it and it was extra and I didn't think of it. It makes me feel like I did something. So did I accomplish something today? Did I make somebody's day better? Did I remind myself to smile at someone who needed that smile? Did I get the smile back? Most of the time I do. I don't know, maybe something happens. They always say when you smile first, the world can smile back at you. Maybe they just think that, boy, she's smiling, something goofy's going on. I might as well smile too. If I can do that, then my well-being feels better. It's just like a whole well just comes over me and says, yep, you did it. And I also remind myself on a daily basis that while we have challenges, yes, I have had surgeries. You go through the ups and downs. Someone else, whether you know them or don't know them, someone else has a day that is millions times worse than yours. So I count my blessings every day. And I remind myself that it could always be worse. And I have a family that loves me. I love them. I have my faith. For the most part, I got my health. And, you just have to keep your perspective to know that if you got one thing right today, it was a win. And significance is not measured by being famous. Significance is doing something for someone else every day.
That's so powerful. That is so very powerful. I have gotten into a habit of doing journaling, and I think that those would be the best prompts that people could use. I have used them, and sometimes when I'm feeling down, I go back into my journal and see sometimes when I have achieved something to play like, wait a minute, I'm down right here, but only the people that don't get up never fall down. If you're always on the ground, how are you going to fall down? So that takes us to the next question that is, I feel, is so very important. So if you think that the tools that keep you just grounded, okay, do you practice a spiritual growth? What is your daily practice, or how do you keep your fortitude? And here I'm going to say a very important part. We speak a lot about resilience. For me, resilience is important because it's modern, and it's okay because it's neutral word, but that's physical. Resilience is that you bend and then you're able to get up. But for me, it's fortitude, because it's the spiritual strength that gives your physical resilience. That's the way I see it. So I'd like to know what spiritual, if you grounded on if you have a spiritual ground, what do you do and how do you do it?
Go for a walk. I really do. Of course, I live in the country. I live on a farm. Very different from what I did, for how I grew up. I grew up in the suburb of Chicago with 63,000 people around me. Now I live in a town in Eastern Washington that has less than 360 people. And I can walk outside and I can feel the breeze and I can listen to the birds or the cows. And I can just remember that feeling that is around me is just life. And it's the beauty of everything around me. And I'm able to do that. Not everybody is. And I can walk outside, I can breathe in fresh air and remind myself that what I am doing, I feel has a purpose. And I'm hoping that I'm providing that purpose to someone else. So that is my wellness. If things are really tough, another thing I learned from my dad was, and my dad had multiple sclerosis. So he did not live to be very old. And a lot of the spirituality that I have, I learned from him, because every conversation we had ended with, "You are loved and blessed." And I am. But he also told me that if you're having a really bad day, pick up a Bible, open it. Somewhere on those pages will be something that will jump out at you and help you get through that day. You may not understand it till 3 or 4 days later, but it will get you through that day.
Wow.
So that is what I have to do, and the Bible sits right over here.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. Well, and you have channeled all these energies with the Special Olympics, and the bottom line with Special Olympics does change lives. It not only does impact the people, the families that are participating, but also people who decide to be volunteers. So can you share just one memory about an athlete, someone? I mean, of course, you have thousands, but can you share a memory of an athlete that just reminds us of why you do what you do?
Yes. I said earlier I wanted to show something to you and your audience. This is what invokes conversation. So I'm going to turn my screen so that you can see my Oh, maybe you can see this. I'm going to try. This is, oh, there it is. This is my forearm.
Okay, how about it's not seen, but you can take a pic, send us a picture.
I will send you. Yes, I'll have to send you a picture of it. It is the Special Olympics Circle of Athletes logo, and the words that are around it. It is a tattoo that I now wear on my right arm, and it says, "Let me be brave." Special Olympics does change lives. It changed our life. It gave Rich something that he could do that was his. It allowed him to be himself. And he is. You brought up that Rich will come up and he's petting my hair. There used to be a time where I would kind of look around like, is that bothering anyone? We don't miss a beat now. He comes and he does that. And I watch the people in front of me. I watch the athletes, and most of them are smiling, and they'll go like this too, and that is the love that I get to share. The 2023-2024 year did not start out of course, we're kind of on a school calendar. So we start in the fall and then we run through the next spring. Well, our 23-24 year did not start well. We had 3 athletes pass away in 4 months.
Wow.
Very impactful on all of us. Whether you knew that person or not, that person was gone from the team. And I had 5 athletes who qualified to go to the 2024 spring athletics games. So they were going to be competing in track and field. And I could not attend because of a prior commitment. And I had one athlete who says, I can't go. If you're not going, I'm not going. I said, oh, yes, you're going. You're going. We have a crew of coaches who are excited to take you, and it's going to be fine. Well, this tattoo, the Circle of Athletes, one of our athletes had actually had that put on his arm. He put it on his shoulder. And we happened to be, it was kind of that conversation of all these things going on. And somebody said, oh, there you go. Deb should get a tattoo. I said, okay, challenge accepted. Every one of you that are going to the state spring games, you medal. I want you to earn a medal. I want you to do your best, but if you all 5 earn a medal, I will get the tattoo. You decide where it goes. The last athlete,
ouch.
on the last day, her last event, she got a gold medal. And she called me sobbing, Deb, I did it for you. So there we are. The 5 of them had to collectively decide. They had a couple of choices where it was going to be, but this is now on my right forearm. I did not tell them I was going to have the words added, but the Special Olympic motto, the athlete motto, is let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. So I had the tattoo put on. Our first bowling practice, when everyone was together, I actually had a sleeve on my arm, and they were allowed to go up and pull the sleeve off and show everyone that they earned Coach Deb getting a tattoo.
Wow. That's compelling. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now before we close, what would you like to tell the families who share similar challenges like ours?
We are not perfect, but we are perfectly human. And whatever we do for our special needs child, adult, neighbor, it doesn't have to be someone we're related to, whatever we do is the best that we know how to do. And if we don't know what to do, we ask. And we find other people who may not be in the same situation, but never, ever be afraid to ask for help. Never, ever. In fact, I got my hair cut yesterday, and the gal that was cutting my hair saw my tattoo, and she said, "Is that Special Olympics?" I said, "Yes, it is." "Okay, well, I have a son who has autism." "Well, let me tell you what. We live in two different states, but that doesn't mean I can't help her try to find someone who can assist her and answer all their questions." So it is, never be afraid to ask for help, but never be afraid to share. And I think that was a big moment for me when Rich was being Rich in a shopping cart and someone said, "There's just something wrong there." And Nick and Phil overheard this as well. And I said, "Yep, there's something wrong there because you're not willing to ask why things are different, because we're all different. And it's okay."
It's okay. Well, Deb, this has been very, very exciting. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable, because we need that. We need to, to see you, the Deb juggling, and the Deb saying why you do what you do. And our children have a purpose. And you mentioned about this blessing. It's not the blessing that we asked, but it's the blessing that we ask. But I think that when we learn to see the collateral beauty, how when Rich grabs your head, all the people smile and see real love, real love, because that's unconditional love that not many people get to see. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Thank you for all the lives that you have impacted, families with a special need, but also those who have taken the challenge of being part of the lives of others who would need them. And you have gathered that. You're like the glue that puts all this together. And I'm very, very blessed to have met you. And you have made a big impact in my family, and I know that you will continue doing that, even with your legacy. And I'm very, very honored to have you here in our channel today.
Elvia, thank you. I certainly miss getting to see you and Raphael at practices. I'm excited to know that he is doing well and continues to sing, because that is the one thing that we need.
Yes.
We need music, and we need someone to carry that through. But that lesson I said God was going to teach me patience. I'm working on it, and I'm going to work on it until the day that my heart stops beating. Because if I stop learning from what I'm trying to help others with and what I'm trying to provide them, then it's not working anymore. That's where the significance goes away. So I'm learning every day. Wrong or right, I'm learning something.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you, Deb. And if you have any, please send us a picture with Richie so we can include that. And we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.